China-South Africa relations, I think it's vitally important in the context of China-Africa relations. I think that we don't even have to go back as far in the history to look at the immigrants that came from China at the time to be workers on infrastructure projects and very much all over Africa. But I think the most important aspect of China-Africa relations is the importance that Africa played in ensuring that China has a seat in the United Nations, and for that China will be forever grateful to Africa. South Africa is the first African country to become part of the BRICS 5-nation countries. And I think strategically it was very specifically chosen, and not just because of its minerals and its sea route, but I think that China wanted to see South Africa as the conduit, as the platform, as the mechanism of unifying Africa as a unit, to be more competitive in relation to the rest of the world, and especially to the Western world. Not for China to come and colonialize Africa, but China specifically wanted to see a unified Africa under one umbrella. For that matter, Africa belongs to Africans, and the similarities is so extensive, because China is all Chinese, Africa all Africans. So it's very easy to relate. And if we can stand as a unified Africa, the significance of economic development, of economic growth, of competitiveness, and to stand, there will just be no food shortages. There will be no famine. There will be nothing that Africa constantly so-called complain about that it's in shortage of. I see there's a lot of positives still to be taken from where we are currently with the China-South Africa and China-Africa relations. It is growing. I think that more and more people are becoming aware of the significance and the importance of what China can contribute, and the role that China can play into the South Africa and African relation. I want to focus a little bit more specifically on the Africa-South Africa relations. I think that we can certainly do more, and the younger generation. I think it's time that the younger generation needs to be more specifically and more productively informed, and not just through the media platforms that are in existence, that are very much controlled. The propaganda that is still out there is negative. I think that we need to use social media and other cell phone technology, for instance. Everybody owns a cell phone. There's hardly any person in Africa that doesn't own a cell phone. I think that is a medium that can be used to bring over the message of the positiveness and the positive aspects that China can play, and the role that China can constructively and effectively and positively play in the lives of not just the upper echelons of the African political structures, but I'm talking about the man on the street, the person on the street. China can make a huge difference in people's lives, because the political system that China is following is all about the people first. It's all about people first, and we need that system in South Africa in particular, but definitely in Africa. The shackles of the colonialism hasn't been broken at all. Yes, it might be very evident in other African countries, but definitely not in South Africa. We need to cross that barrier, and then we can fully understand and grasp the role that China in particular can play in our lives, productively and constructively. Business-wise, it's endless. the Chinese government SOEs, for instance, wants to play a vital important role in infrastructure and rebuilding, if you want to put it that way, South Africa, and we need to make it available to them. Forget about the political structures. Forget about what political parties are saying. Forget about what media houses are saying. We as business people, we as people that are every day are dealing with this, that needs to make a living from what is to offer. We are the ones that needs to be the advocates of how China can make a difference in our lives, and we are the ones. It's our responsibility to bring that message constructively and effectively over to people.